Apple, stock code AAPL, one of the most popular US stocks that a lot of people are looking at, and we have started to see some strength over the past 1 week. The question is, can we see more upside as we head into the second quarter of 2025? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier mindset trader in Phillips Securities, and in this video I'll be talking about Apple, right? What are some of the news that came out over the past 1-2 weeks? Why are we starting to see strength? What are some of the analysts saying as well? And of course we'll dive into the charts of Apple to see how we look, right? Could there be more upside? What does it say on my one good trend, the one good trend indicator, whereby it gives us bullish and bearish signals? Are we seeing some bullish signals coming out over the past week? Let's find out. So watch this video all the way to the end if you don't know what is going on with Apple AAPL right now. So there's this news on Apple that says Apple introduces new low-cost iPhone to boost sales. So what happened just on Wednesday? Right? On Wednesday, Apple announced a new budget smartphone, and they call it the iPhone 16e, which Apple say it hopes that it will leave its iPhone sales. So this iPhone 16e packs a lot of cutting-edge technology, all right, into a very low-cost device. So Apple is seen as a premium kind of phone, but this is kind of like a budget phone, and it still has all the key features, and even has this thing called Apple Intelligence as well, right? So Apple iPhone 16e is also capable of running what we call AI, artificial intelligence, such as this thing called Apple Intelligence. So in Apple's first quarter earnings ended December, right? What happens was sales were particularly weak in China. So with this new iPhone, the iPhone 16e, right, people are saying that it could help Apple better compete in more price-sensitive markets like China, which is a huge market for Apple as well. So some of the analysts are saying that the device should have higher margins since it uses what we call an in-house modem rather than one from Qualcomm. And of course, this handset will be available on February 28 with pre-orders starting soon. So the launch could be an incremental tailwind for Apple. That means it's a good thing. Tailwind means you're seeing it being bullish, right, for Apple in terms of the fundamentals as well, pushing for sales of the iPhone as well. So let's take a look at another news article, right? Goldman Sachs, one of the investment banks, maintain Apple stock buy rating at a $294 target price. So Goldman Sachs analyst Michael Ng maintained a target price of $294. And why is he doing that? Well, this is due to Apple, all right, introduction of the new iPhone 16e right over here, right? You can see that the latest iteration in a more budget-friendly iPhone SE lineup. So this new model, as I just mentioned, was just launched, right? Is the first significant update to the entry-level iPhone since the release of the iPhone SE 3 in March 2022. So despite the iPhone 16e higher than anticipated entry price of $599, which surpassed expectation of a sub $500 phone, right? Goldman Sachs view this as a positive step. As I mentioned just now, what happens is it could be a potential driver for upgrades, right? Demand, and sustained growth, especially in countries whereby people are more price sensitive. Let's take a look at another news on Apple, right? So you can see that for Apple, yes, products like the Apple Watch, the AirPods, and also the iPhones, and the iPhones alone remains a significant contributor to Apple's total revenue, accounting for over 50%. And the thing here is that Warren Buffett, right, Berkshire Hathaway, one of the largest investor in Apple, right, decided to maintain its investment in Apple, right, the iPhone maker. Pretty much this is the biggest stock in Warren Buffett's Berkshire's portfolio. So you can see right over here, Warren Buffett reiterates support for Apple. In its latest filing, right, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway revealed that he has kept a significant 300 million shares in Apple, right, valued at approximately $75 billion, while making substantial reduction in its banking sector investment. So Warren Buffett has slashed some of his position in the banking sector, and for Apple itself, right, it remains the cornerstone of Berkshire's portfolio, pretty much its largest position in the entire portfolio. And this news comes after Apple slightly exceeded analyst expectation in its earnings for the first quarter earnings for fiscal year 2025, right? So you can see that revenue rose about 4% to $124.3 billion, surpassing estimate of $124.12 billion. Earnings per share beat expectation as well. The only thing that was not so good was iPhone sales in China dropped by about 11%. But due to this new iPhone that's being launched, iPhone 16e, well, that could be a good thing. All right, that could kind of like spark off more sales in China as well, especially China is seen as a country that people are more price sensitive in terms of the iPhone product. And of course, China, there are many kind of competing phones as well, such as those from Huawei, all right? And yeah, so this new iPhone 16e could be a new boost, right, in terms of sales in China, and that's the reason why we are starting to see some strength in Apple. All right, so let's dive into the stock chart of Apple, AAPL, right now to see how are we doing, what is the current price right now, what is the trend, what are some of the key levels where we may start to see some selling coming back. So this is Apple right here at $244. So let me just go to draw this very key resistance level right over here. So you can see this is a resistance level, right, around the $260. So we're right over here somewhere in December, right, just before the new year 2025 started. You can see we touched there, some bearish candles came out, a spinning top, and down we go all the way towards this very key support level at the 220. So that is a key support. You can see that we have rebounded from this support level, I would say about 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times right over here. So if you ask me for Apple, right, what is the longer term trend? Well, I would say that Apple is still in a very strong longer term uptrend, right? How do we gauge that? Well, very simple. You can tell the longer term trend just by looking at what we call the longer term moving averages. So we have this 100 days moving average, the red line that is sloping upwards. Of course, the blue line is the 200 days moving average that is slightly sloping upwards as well. So the red and blue, they're both sloping up, and the 100 days moving average, the red line is above the blue line, as you can see right now. So the longer term trend is pretty much up, but of course in the short term we did see some weakness over the past few months, right? Near the $260, came back down, in fact rebounded about 2 weeks back, we sold down again, but now it seems like we are starting to make our way back up. So how do we gauge, in terms of the short term trend? Well, as I say, right, the longer term trend has been up, but the short term could actually be down. So right over here, when we headed to around the $260, you can see, right, we touch this level and we can tell the short term trend just by looking at the green 20 days moving average line. So this green 20 days moving average line was sloping up, flat, and you can see, right, it started to actually point down, right? Down, and that was where prices started to sell down. So that's how you can tell the trend, right, in the short term, just by looking at the 20 days moving average. So if you look at it, right, over the past 1 week, look at the green line. You can see that from pointing down, it has started to reverse over the past 1 week. Does it make sense? Right? So that's where we could potentially see some signs of the trend reversing up right now. To where? Where could we see some selling happening again? Well, I would say that we might slowly push towards the 250 to 260 resistance level, and that's where potentially some selling pressure can come back again. So if you want to take some profit, lock in some profits near the 255 or 257 or near 260, I think that could be where we may see some selling. So I think nothing wrong to lock in some profits because that's where we actually sold off previously, right? So that is a very key level. That's a very key level to watch, at 260. It is what we call a psychological resistance level as well. All right, if we can consolidate below it for a while and eventually we break the 260 resistance, well, I think that would be a catalyst for more upside. Targets could be raised, right? And let's see where we could raise our targets. I would say that this would be the consolidation range we have seen over the past 2 months, right? So if we break the 260, I think upside targets could be raised all the way right over here, maybe towards the psychological $300. Let me just go to draw another line right over here. Can you see, right? So from this range, from 220 to 260, that's a $40 range. So if you kind of extrapolate and you project it, well, after 260, potentially we might hit to 300, and that's where we could start to see some profit taking coming back, especially if 300 is a psychological level as well, right? So that's Apple. I think 260 is very key. All right, if we break the 260, the 20 days moving average line continues to point up, that could be a good confirmation, right? So let me just go to turn on what we call the 1GT, the One Good Trend Pro indicator that I have that allows me to get an opinion in seconds on any stocks, any asset classes, right? So if you want to find out a bit more on the entire One Good Trend strategy, go to click on the link below the video, register for this free webinar where I share with you guys the entire framework, all right, and how to filter out the top 1% of stocks in seconds and then know what to do with them, whether to buy or to sell. Right, so let's take a look at Apple right now. Let me just go to turn on what we call the 1GT Pro indicator right over here. Pam, there we go. I just turned it on. And you can see that I have some bullish and bearish signals. So let me just go to turn off all these things right over here to keep cleaner. All right, so you can see we have a couple of bullish signals for Apple. Look at this right over here, right? This was somewhere in May last year. Pump, right? Two bullish signals, and of course, look at the green line. Look at this, right? I mean, we had some bearish signals previously, down. The green line was pointing down as another confirmation, right? So you don't want to buy when we get bearish signals, right? No. Wait for it. We got the bullish signals right here. The green line started to point up as another confirmation of the short-term trend turning up, and there we go. All right. Of course, after that, we started to see some signs of weakness. The bearish signal came out. We sold down a little bit. Right over here, somewhere in November, we got a bullish signal. The green 20 days moving average line started to point up, and off we go. So you can see, right, somewhere in December, right, just about 2 months back, we got a bearish signal, and down we went. So that was after we hit the 260 psychological resistance level. So we hit that level, retrace back down. You can see a bearish signal came out. 20 days moving average line started to point down. But right now, over the past 2 to 3 days, what happened, right? You can see that finally, we got a new bullish signal coming out. All right, so that is one confirmation of the upside reversal. All right, all the way up to that 260. So a bullish signal, and I mentioned just now as well, right, that the 20 days moving average line has started to slope up. And we can just turn on quickly. All right, why did the bullish signal actually came out? Well, let me just turn on what we call the trailing. So right over here, we have this thing called the trailing support. Like for example, when we got this bullish signal in November, you can see this line pops up, and it kind of like trails and follow Apple as it moves up. It follows it, it goes up, and of course the bearish signal came out when we went below this trailing support, and down we went. Does it make sense? So there was a trailing support that give it space to move up, hopefully, right? But it didn't move up as much as we wanted to. We hit it to 260. We broke the space, right? The trailing support, and down we went. So look at right now, right? Over the past few days, same thing, right? This bullish signal came out because we went above the trailing resistance, something like this, right? Right over here, you can see we went above the trailing resistance. And same thing, you can see right now, we have gone above the trailing resistance as well. Something like what has happened, about 2 months back in November, right? So can we start to push higher? Well, I think it looks pretty good. If you can stay above the 240 to 250 level, if you break the 250, even better. That's where we can get more confirmation of a move all the way to $260. So yeah, I think that's why we're seeing a bit of strength. We have, broken the trailing resistance, which was actually following Apple as it goes down, right over here. Over the past few days, we managed to break above the trailing resistance. The bullish signal came out, the 20 days moving average line started to point up, so I think that's the reason why we are starting to see some strength in Apple, right? So this is Apple. I think it looks pretty okay. Hopefully, we stay above the 240, 235 new support level. If that happens, great. We may slowly make our way to 260, and that's where you can potentially take some profit as well. And as I mentioned, right, the 260 would be key. Let me just go to turn off the trailing support. I think right over here, this 260 would be very important, right? If you do hit over here, we might consolidate. And as I mentioned, right, if we break the 260, we may see a new bullish signal, something like this over here, right? Pump. We got a bullish signal, we break a resistance, and off we go even higher. So same thing, right? If you can break the 260, there would be a new bullish signal. We might see more upside momentum. Targets could be raised to even $300. All right, guys, so that is Apple, AAPL, one of the most popular stocks that I get asked quite often on. So I hope you now know where we are right now for Apple technically as well. And of course, some of the news that have been affecting Apple in terms of the new iPhone 16e. All right, what is its sales doing in China? All right, and how some of the analysts has upgraded its target price as well. So if you like this video, guys, go to give me a like, smash the subscribe button. And as I mentioned, right, if you want to find out a bit more on how to actually filter out the top 1% of stocks like Apple or many other top stocks, right? And then know exactly when to buy and sell them with my one good trend, the 1GT Pro indicator. Make sure you click on the link below the video, register for my free webinar, and that's where I'll show you guys about the entire strategy, all right, and how perhaps you can have an indicator like this to guide you on exactly when to get in and get out as well. Right, so Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you in the next video. Take care.